In this video, we're going to talk about the feasts. These are the 7 feasts of the Bible, and I don't care what reverend, or actually so-called reverend, because real reverends would never say this, but so-called reverends are going around saying, Jesus abolished all the feasts. He did not abolish all the feasts. He modified them so that all these lambs wouldn't get killed all over the freaking place, but he did not he did not abolish the feasts. He celebrated those feasts all the way to the point when he was resurrected from the grave. So, that's just a delusion. Alright, anybody that tells you that is deluded, and you shouldn't be following them. Okay. First of all, what are the names of the 7 feasts? Well, those are found in Leviticus chapter 23. And the names of the feasts are Passover, Unleavened Bread, First Fruits, Pentecost, Trumpets, Atonement, and Tabernacles. That's the names of the 7 feasts. And what you need to do during these 7 feasts is honor them the best way you can when they're going on. Now, granted, there are some things listed in these 7 feasts that are just not practical in our modern day society, especially slaughtering and cooking lambs like they were talking about here. But in the best way you can, and I actually saw a Passover meal, and my family actually set up a Passover meal for several years, and we celebrated the Passover that way. We actually had roasted lamb, okay, on Passover. So, no, we didn't kill the lamb, but we had lamb, and we bought it at the store, we cooked it up, and we had lamb, alright? So we honored it the best way we could. But here's the thing. In those 7 feasts, you are told not to work. Now, granted, for some of you, that's just impractical. But what you can do is not work for personal pleasure. If you're going to work to satisfy your carnal pleasure, then you are going against God's word. And if you do that, God's going to hold you accountable someday. Now, here's another thing. Christmas Day is coming up. Okay, this is December 25th. I know there's a lot of controversy saying, well, that's not really Christ's birthday, so on and so forth. Well, leave that up to God. That's one of God's details. But if we're standing here saying we're going to celebrate Christ's birthday, then why are we going to the DVD place, renting a DVD, and we're not talking about some Christian DVD to honor God's birthday. We're talking about renting some DVD like Saw 6, or Transformers, or Terminator. Now, there's nothing wrong with the movies themselves. We're talking about, we're watching some carnal pleasure movie on Christ's birthday. What's up with that? Come on, you Christians. Are you telling me that your carnal pleasures come before Christ? That makes you a hypocrite. If you have to work, that's one thing. But when you're trying to satisfy your carnal pleasures on Christ's birthday, you are insulting Jesus Christ. And He will someday make you answer for that. If He doesn't do it now, eventually, when you go up to meet Him, He will. He'll say, I never knew you, worker of iniquity. Get out of my sight. That's what He's going to say. Alright? So, you really have to think about this. Now, the thing is it's not just bad enough you're trying to satisfy a carnal pleasure, but on top of all that, you've gone to the DVD store on December 25th. Or to the movie house. You know, there's still movie houses around. You went to the movie house on December 25th. That made somebody work to satisfy your carnal pleasure on December 25th. How insulting. That's ridiculous. You can't call yourself Christian and make somebody else work to satisfy your carnal pleasure on December 25th. Now, I grant you that there are pharmacies that are open out on December 25th, and certainly there are gas stations open on December 25th, and those places are open to satisfy people's actual physical needs. Let me tell you something. You don't want to get stuck out in the middle of the road without any gas. And you certainly don't want to have some medical emergency where you can't get the medicines you need. We're not talking about that. I'm saying to you, if you are forcing a business open to satisfy your carnal pleasure, then you are in doctrinal error and you will answer to Jesus Christ someday for it. That is a guarantee. You want to talk about sin, there's a sin. How would you feel if somebody told you, hey, gee, I would rather watch this DVD than celebrate your birthday with you? You'd be quite insulted. Well, how do you think Jesus feels? So, the next time you climb in your car and you decide to go somewhere on Christmas Day, you might want to rethink this, especially if it's about something of carnal pleasure. Oh, I have to be satisfied. On Christ's birthday? You can't do a little sacrificing? What did Jesus sacrifice for you? Think about that the next time you climb in the car on December 25th. Is this about some medical emergency or some food emergency? Or is this about something that is about carnal lust and pleasure? If it's about carnal lust and pleasure, don't get in that car. You stay home. You tend to your family. Because if you don't, then you're not a Christian. You're nothing more than a hypocrite. And I call it the way I see it. Alright, I will talk to you more in a future video, so stay tuned.